Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are opening the file on what has to be the single most expensive, most comprehensive, and frankly exhaustive philosophical experiment ever conducted. Our sources, they're drawn from the ancient text of Ecclesiastes, specifically chapter 2, and they introduce us to this figure known simply as the teacher.
And this teacher is a uniquely positioned subject. He's not constrained by budget or social status or even time. He has unlimited funds, unlimited influence.
A king's resources.
Exactly. And he deploys all of it to answer one single fundamental question. Can total world pleasure, achievement, all the wisdom you can accumulate, can it provide ultimate lasting meaning?
It's the ultimate high-stakes research project.
Yeah.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really extract the core insights from his study. We need to understand not just what he did, but why he concluded what he did.
And why it's so relevant now.
Yes, and why his findings, which are so counterintuitive, are maybe the most essential reading for our modern age, an age that's wealthier than any in history, but, is suffering from so much anxiety.
Right, because the teacher, he provides the definitive answer to that question of having it all. And the central finding, the spoiler right up front from his personal journal.
What is it?
After achieving everything humanly possible, looking at everything he'd done, he concluded that it was all simply meaningless.
Meaningless.
Yeah.
That's a devastating summary, especially when you think about the sheer scale of what he did.
Oh, yeah.
We have to appreciate the depth of his commitment to this test before we can really grasp the weight of his conclusion.
Absolutely. This was not a half measure. When the teacher set out, he wasn't looking for, moderate happiness. He was aiming for guaranteed ultimate fulfillment through accumulation. He approached it like a scientist.
Okay, so let's unpack that. He decided to test every possible category of fulfillment.
He covered them all. So first, he went after immediate visceral pleasure, hedonism.
The obvious stuff.
Right, laughter, wine. He was trying to find joy purely in sensation and indulgence, looking for a high that would actually last.
That's the instant gratification bucket, the temporary dopamine hit. But he didn't stop there.
No.
He moved into the category of lasting achievement, legacy. And this is where that unlimited budget really kicked in.
Precisely. He didn't just, buy a comfortable estate. He undertook great building projects. Think infrastructure, massive architectural feats,
Right.
and creating these vast, intricate gardens and parks. The kind of legacy projects modern billionaires fund to make sure their names live on forever. He was testing if creating something magnificent would make life meaningful.
And then there's the pure acquisition of status, of wealth. Silver, gold, singers, slaves, acquiring a massive harem. This isn't just about financial comfort. This is about being the most influential, the most admired person in the known world.
It's that trifecta of worldly validation, isn't it? You've got pleasure, legacy, and then that pure economic power.
Yeah.
And this is the core premise we have to keep in mind for you, the learner. If materialism or achievement or hedonism could satisfy the deepest longings of the soul, the teacher would have found it. He ran the definitive test.
He literally wrote the book on it. We have the quote, "I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure."
It sounds like a modern biography, doesn't it?
It really does. A tech CEO or some cultural icon.
And that's why this ancient text is so intensely relevant. Our entire modern consumer culture is built on the idea that satisfaction is just around the corner.
The next purchase.
The next purchase, the next experience, the next promotion. And the teacher tested that lie of materialism with resources that make even the wealthiest people today look, modest.
But couldn't someone argue that if you just kept acquiring, if the sheer volume of pleasure and gold was high enough, that maybe the distraction would shield you from that feeling of emptiness? Maybe he just needed more.
That's a great question, and his analysis actually addresses that head-on. He wasn't distracted. He was sober-minded about it. He surveyed all the work his hands had done.
So he wasn't looking forward to the next thing.
No, he was looking back at everything he had bought, everything he had built, and the conclusion was instant and devastating.
The ultimate intellectual letdown. Everything was meaningless. A chasing after the wind.
It's the perfect metaphor.
It is, because it describes this incredible effort you put towards something that is, in the end, intangible, uncatchable.
It just captures the futility.
Yeah.
And to move past that despair, we have to synthesize the 3 analytical conclusions he drew from this failure. This is really the deeper structure of why wealth and achievement fail to satisfy.
Okay. Lay out the psychological reality for us.
First, and it's the most simple one, possessions just cannot satisfy. The void is one of quality, not quantity.
Mm-hmm.
If a cup is designed to hold spiritual meaning, you can't fill it with an ocean of material wealth. Unlimited acquisition, it still leaves the soul unnourished. It just increases the appetite.
So it just speeds up the treadmill.
Exactly. The
Mhm.
second reason, and this one is a stark, humbling reality check, is that death is the great equalizer. The teacher realized that all his striving was temporary. The wise person and the foolish person, the successful and the obscure, they all face the exact same inevitable end.
But what about our modern attempts to defeat that? We have foundations, endowments, buildings with our names on them. We try to buy immortality through legacy.
That's the contemporary struggle for sure. But the teacher would argue it's a temporary bandage. He realized that after a generation or two, even the memory of the truly wise person just fades away.
Fame is a fool.
Just like the fools, no amount of success or fame or wisdom can prevent that ultimate erasure. The moment you die, the striving becomes irrelevant.
That reality is what truly renders earthly success meaningless. It's the ultimate reset button. All that work, only to be forgotten.
And that leads him directly to the third and maybe the most painful source of his distress, the sheer agony over the loss of control, specifically his legacy.
That detail in the text is such a psychological sting, isn't it?
It's brutal.
He spent a lifetime pouring effort and skill and genius into these massive projects, accumulating all this wealth, and then he realizes he just has to leave it all to someone else.
And he can't control what they do. He has no idea if his successor will be competent, wise, or a complete idiot who just squanders the whole empire overnight. The agony is specific, he says. Who knows whether he will be a wise man or a fool? Yet he will have control over all the work into which I have poured my effort and skill.
The irony there is just so compelling. The man who sought total control realizes he can't even control the fate of his own life's work.
It completely reframes the purpose of work. I mean, our accomplishments are not our personal immortality. When you realize you are working for a legacy you can't guarantee or control, it raises a really important question for you, the learner.
Which is?
If you can't control what happens to your business or your wealth or your creations after you're gone, why are you enslaved to the relentless pressure of building them right now?
It's hard to move past that kind of crushing despair. If striving just leads to oblivion, why do anything?
Right.
But the teacher, he doesn't collapse into total nihilism, does he?
He doesn't, and this is the crucial, complex transition in the chapter. Before he lands on his final, joyful insight, he affirms a critical relative truth.
Okay.
Even though death makes all outcomes equal in the end, wisdom is still better than foolishness, just as light is better than darkness.
So it's a practical affirmation. Wisdom can't defeat mortality, but it provides clarity in the meantime.
Exactly. The wise person has eyes in his head while the fool walks in darkness. Wisdom makes your current life better, safer, more productive. It's an immediate utility, even if it's not an eternal solution.
So it's not a rejection of wisdom, just a realization of its limits. And this realization leads him directly to the breakthrough lesson, the one that transforms the whole narrative.
This is the turning point. It's this profound insight that enjoyment of life is not something you earn through acquisition, but something you receive as a gift.
He moves from trying to take meaning to learning to receive it.
That's it exactly. And we, in our modern culture, are trained to believe that joy is a consequence of high effort. You have to achieve X, Y, and Z before you deserve to be happy.
And the teacher proved that method is bankrupt.
Completely. The key insight quote is so beautifully simple, especially after all the architectural madness. He says, "A man can do nothing better than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in his work. This, too, I see, is from the hand of God."
So what does that mean for us? The ability to find satisfaction in the ordinary. A good meal, a sip of water, just the feeling of a day's work done, that's not an achievement. It's a gift.
The analysis here is vital, meaning isn't found in accumulation, the big projects and fortunes, but in receiving the present moment, the daily provision, as a blessing.
When you see enjoyment itself as a gift, it transforms how you approach everything.
Yes, it strips the pressure from the extraordinary. And this is the central reason why this ancient experiment is so critical for you, the learner, today.
Because we're surrounded by entertainment and material goods, but we're constantly comparing ourselves on social media, driving depression and burnout higher than ever.
The teacher explains why. We're looking for ultimate meaning in the very places he proved it cannot be found.
In accumulation and control.
Right. Our societal pressure to constantly level up just mirrors his experiment, only we have smaller budgets.
We have to move from this theory to practical application. The teacher's journey, it gives us powerful, actionable ways to reorient our lives away from chasing the wind.
First, we have to actively reject the lie of materialism and that pressure of social comparison. The teacher's failure proves that even if you got the social status of 1,000 influencers combined, you'd still be empty.
So how do we apply that practically? With the constant barrage of advertising and social media validation.
You have to cultivate active contentment. We have to be brutally honest about the psychological mechanisms here. Modern materialism exploits the dopamine loop, the joy of anticipation, the relief of getting it, and then back to baseline emptiness.
So what do you do?
Before you make a big purchase, a status-driven one, stop and ask, am I buying this because I genuinely need it, or am I just looking for a momentary dopamine spike that promises to finally make me happy?
If it's the latter, you're just repeating his failed experiment.
Precisely. And that frees up so much mental space. So instead of chasing the big thing, we focus on recognizing the small gifts.
Finding joy in simple pleasures.
And understanding that that joy must be received. Learn to truly savor your daily work, your food, your relationships, not as things you possess, but as blessings you're receiving in the moment. Gratitude transforms the ordinary into deep joy.
The quiet satisfaction of a meal or a job well done, that's the real source of happiness.
Not the 10 million followers or the new yacht.
And what about work? If achievement is meaningless in the long run, should we just aim for mediocrity?
Not at all. The application is to work with excellence, but not for validation. Do excellent work as an offering, not to prove your own worth or achieve immortality.
I see the distinction. The work is still excellent, but the motivation completely shifts from self-worship to, say, purpose or service.
It frees you from being enslaved to achievement. Your value doesn't come from your productivity metrics or your next promotion. You can produce world-class work without needing that work to define you or secure you or save you.
And that frees you from the agony of what happens to it later.
Right. It allows you to produce knowing that if your successor is a fool, you have still done good work in the service of excellence, and that outcome is ultimately out of your hands.
And finally, connecting back to the great equalizer death, the practice of memento mori, remembering your mortality, feels essential to anchoring all of this.
It's not morbid, it's clarifying. Regularly reflecting on the certainty of death helps you distinguish what truly matters, character, love, from what is merely urgent or, superficially appealing. It pulls you out of that frantic, futile pursuit.
So, to synthesize the entire journey, the simple pleasures of eating, drinking, daily work, when you receive them gratefully, those are the true sources of joy. But those same activities, when you pursue them as ultimate goals for accumulation and personal validation, they lead to the emptiness of chasing the wind.
And that brings us to the final provocative thought. Since the teacher proved beyond a doubt that we cannot control our earthly legacy, who gets it, what they do with it, what's the alternative investment strategy?
Where do you put your energy?
His final lesson is to shift your focus entirely, to invest in what outlasts you.
Invest in what transcends the realm of control and mortality.
Yes, relationships, character, faith. Serving purposes that reflect enduring values. The focus shifts from obsessing over building a temporary earthly empire, which you can't control, to investing in eternal things that reflect who you are and what you truly value.
So the question for you is, how can you shift your investment strategy today? Moving your resources, your time, your energy, your thought, from temporary accomplishments to enduring values, something to mull over until our next deep dive. And on that note, we encourage you to continue exploring, learning, and diving deep into stories that inspire and challenge you. Until next time.